day 3.
Yeah.
3. Who's been here all 3 days? God bless her. And to be here at 10 o'clock in the morning, you are the real heroes of the show. Thank you for being here. I'm Jim Viscardi, host of the Let's Talk Comics podcast. There are a bunch of other stuff for Image Comics, but you don't care about me, you care about the people here on the panel. I'm going to introduce them real quick, and then we're going to get into some fun today, all right? First up, Mr. Geoff Johns. Let's give it up for Geoff Johns.
Yeah!
Jason Fabok. He's not here today, but we've got Chris Condon. Mr. Wes Craig. Last but not least, Mr. Tyler Kirkland. All right. Guys, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through, these guys have a bunch of really, really cool stuff coming up. We're going to go through that. I want to give them time to talk about it, get you excited for their books, and then we're going to open it up to a bunch of questions and things like that. We'll throw them out to the audience and things like that, but I've got a bunch of other questions and stuff for them. So, Jeff, we're going to start with you. Geiger 25. That's for, you know, you've done a number of books that have made it to 25, but this is your book.
A couple.
This is your book getting to 25. 25 for create your own book is a milestone. What's that like for you to get to this point for this?
I mean, it's only to me it's only a little ways through. I'm used to writing like 100-issue runs, so
right.
It's exciting though because of the story where Gary and I are telling. Gary Frank and I have never done a run this long. Like he's never done a run this long, and we love the character. You know, we love working with Tariq. We love his story. We love what he's all about. And issue 25, there's going to be, you know, for us a celebration of the character, big changes in the story, and I don't want to spoil it too much.
Well, okay. Well, so we don't have to spoil too much. We do need to show off a bunch of these really cool covers you've got for issue 25.
Yep.
Including the Geiger figure.
Yeah, so we just announced with Todd McFarlane the Geiger action figure comes out in August. I think next month it's pre-ordered. It's down in his booth. You can check it out. It's really cool. It glows in the dark like it should.
And then you guys actually have got something coming up that you've been cooking for a little bit, and that is Radioactive Revolution. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so the world of the Unnamed we established with Geiger and Redcoats, the Northerner and Junkyard Joe. We've always talked about putting it together and having the characters meet, and to have Geiger and Redcoat finally be established enough to meet. You're going to meet Redcoat in Geiger's time and see what he's gone through. And clearly they don't like each other. But Geiger kills him a lot, and he comes back a lot.
We've got one of the other covers here. It's coming.
I mean, one of the things about Ghost Machine too is we really do, like Jason included, we have the best artists I think in the business, like Ivan, Brian, Gary, Francis Manful, and everyone does covers for each other's books, and that's part of the fun of Ghost Machine, I think, is seeing all of us work together in collaboration because we all own the company together.
What's it like to get to a point where you get to do kind of like a mini event with your books? Your books have been running mostly on their own tracks, but to bring them together.
I think the most fun it's been is to have like Gary, Brian, and I talk about what will Simon and Tariq, how will they interact? Like how will they get along or not get along? What do they have in common? What don't they have in common? And that's the most fun, is building an event around characters that we love. We love Geiger, we love Redcoat. So seeing them together and seeing what sparks flies, it's fun for us.
That's awesome. Let's see, we've got a few more the covers for Geiger and Redcoat. Obviously, Brian and Gary have drawn, each other's characters, for covers and things like that. But like when you're all kind of working together on something like this, are there especially when there's a bit more maybe acting in the moments, does like Gary give notes on how how Tariq would act, and Brian give notes on how?
I mean, we zoom in because Gary's in Italy, Brian's in England, so we zoom and we talk about the story. Like we're introducing a new villain called the Organ Grinder. Organ Grinder wants Tariq for a very specific reason, and he's hired Redcoat to go get him. And so we talk about like we talk about the story together, just like Jay and I talk about Rook constantly. But it's a huge collaboration, so we do give each other, I don't know if notes is the right word, it feels like an editorial thing.
Sure.
Ideas, brainstorming,
Right.
you know, we know what the heart of the characters are, what Simon's about, what Redcoat's all about. You know, Redcoat's all about how long does it take to become a better person, and Redcoat now has had like, 200 years. Is he a better person? The answer is no. But you'll see why, and he struggles with that, how to evolve as a human being. I think it's hard for everybody, and that's what Redcoat's about. As much as he tries, and Geiger's all about the grief that somebody can carry and it can destroy them. So they both do share that in common. We talk a lot about that. That's what we talk about. Is we talk about why are we telling the story. We talk about what we're trying to say about just being alive, and then we put it through a radioactive man and an immortal person.
Love it. One of the other things, we talked a little bit about the figure coming out through McFarlane Toys, but another thing that is here at the show is a Geiger pop. What's it like to see Geiger with a giant bobblehead?
As long as he's glowing, I'm happy. And they're always like, we should make him glow. I'm like, that's a great idea. The funny thing about the Funko is that they have 1,000 of them. It's limited edition. We got a few for the company. We actually sent one of our team members, Rebecca, over there to get it. They're like, you need a wristband. She's like, well, let's go to machine. He's like, you need a wristband.
All right, next up we've got something that I know you've been working on with Brad Meltzer, First Ghost. I think it's the first time we're seeing the covers for this one. I know this is one you've been wanting to talk about for a while, so let's...
Yeah, Brad and I have been wanting to do a book for a long time together, and we had this idea for First Ghost, which is essentially the new president gets sworn in and strange things happen at the White House, and they're sat down and the security says, usually sometimes it skips an administration. We were hoping it'd skip yours, but the White House is haunted. And then they have to deal with what that means. Brad is known for his novels that go back in American history and politics and everything, so he brought all that, and then it's tied into the Unnamed universe, so it's the first book that's present day in the Unnamed universe. There is you'll see some crossover, but it's its own story, but you will see some crossover, like Redcoat's portrait, which we introduced in Redcoat, it's still hanging in the White House, and this kid is like, who is that? But it's a really cool story. I love that cover Jay did. Jason did that cover with the American flag and the ghost. But it's a beautiful family story at its heart, and about why is the White House haunted, what's haunting it, and how do they get rid of it, or should they get rid of it?
I know you guys do a lot of research and stuff for your books, especially when it ties into something that's a bit more kind of happening in real life, whatever. What kind of research goes into making the White House haunted?
Well, Brad has been in the I've been in the White House once. Brad has been in the White House like 1,000 times. He's been hundreds of times. He knows where the bodies are. He does. He knows what ghost should be haunting it. So Brad brings all that information, like all that kind of research, because he's done so much with American politics and the White House and everything and history. Cool.
And then we've got issue 2 covers to share as well.
Yeah, those are beautiful covers.
These are great.
Yeah, Gene Howe's done amazing work. You guys know Gene Howe's work with content. It's a really beautiful, beautiful book. It's going to be a beautiful series. He's into issue 3 right now. Issue 1's 40 pages. We try and do exercise first issues all the time. Like Jay did, Rook number 1 was at 40 pages or something. For $3.
Cool. All right, we'll move on to some Rook Exodus stuff. We got issue 11 coming out in September. You guys have been doing so much with the creepy spiders. Tell us a little bit more about this issue and what fans can expect as we kind of...
First, I'll say Jay's always complaining about how many spiders he has to draw, and I keep reminding him, you're the one that want to do the Warden of Spiders. So.
I cursed myself the other day. Rook, this whole arc that we're doing is really kind of like a horror-based arc. I think we talked about Aliens, like the original Aliens movies, and kind of the vibe of that. And the Spider Warden was just this idea I had of just this guy in this giant mech suit, and that looks like a spider, and he's got machine guns on his back. And issue 11 is a big throwdown. Like this one took me a long time to draw, but it's got just some pretty crazy splash pages and action and fighting. ton of spiders everywhere, bullets flying, and a great last page that's like, you know, you're a stag fan.
I love these Warden helmet covers that you do, Jay. And so, like, for and it feels like you try to outdo yourself every time there's like a new mask. But like, what goes into a good Warden mask, and what about this one in particular?
Well, I think with all the masks, like Rook was the first one that I did, and my brother actually helped me design it. He's a 3D. He works for Activision, does Call of Duty games, and so we built the helmet as I was drawing it. We were building it in 3D. He was modeling it so I could see it from every angle. And then we started to kind of, from there, evolve it. So Direwolf was second, and I had a much more like jaggedy kind of look, and he actually went through and feminized it more, and it looks really great. And then I think for a lot of the helmets, I'm looking at both how the animal silhouette looks, but also to give it a little bit of edge, I look at like their skull and what the skulls look like. Like Stag is like a deer's skull, and same with Matterhorn and whatnot. So some of the characters I kind of lean into that just to give that little bit of like rock and roll edge to it. And then the bug ones they're already creepy looking anyway, so you don't really have to do much just to make it look cool and metallic and shiny. And then Brad comes in with all the colors and just does such a great job bringing it to life.
Yeah, and then also for the month of September, we previewed it earlier with Geiger one, but there's also these guys are doing these frame variants. Well, the characters in Ghost Machine thing, like those are fun. I love those. Let's see, we got the cover to issue 12, which is this is really the big end of that, kind of this arc. You teased a little bit, but I guess like for you guys getting to this point, getting to Rook, seeing the fans, react to it, like do you? And I know it's not in the nature when you're doing ongoing books, but like when you get to the end of a big arc, do you get the opportunity to be like, oh, cool, did it? But also
right back to the let's go. We already have the story figured out. We're gonna tease it a little bit, and it's we just want to keep moving the story forward. We have a huge epic story to tell, and I hope it's something I can literally do for the next 20 years and just build out volume after volume after volume. And they're going to get crazier and bigger, but also there's that emotional core, that heart to it that Geoff puts. I just want Rambo all the time, and Geoff's always like, we also need heart in here. So we balance each other out very well, and then I'm always like, more fights, and then I curse myself for, wow, I have to do this crazy fight now, but it works out well.
He does. He's like, this issue's taking me so long to draw, 'cause it's all fighting. I'm like, but
that's what I wanted to do. That's great.
But it is like Jay and I plotted Rook out because it's for those who don't know, it's a terraformed world in the future where there's people have moved there and it's kind of collapsed, society's collapsed, and there's these people called Wardens that wear these masks that control animals, and they each do a different species, and so there's endless animals to do, endless. And Jay and I always been very slowly like introducing other types of animals. We really stayed kind of in North America now, but we have so many ideas for all these other characters, and it's hard to like not just want to introduce all of them at once, but we are very meticulous about why we're doing the stories, what it means. Everyone has a favorite animal. People ask me, is there a warden of giraffes? I'm like, there is. Will you see it soon? I don't know. But there's a warden of every kind of animal, there's crazy wardens, like the warden of chickens is like one of our favorite characters. He's like this nutty Viking with like a rooster helmet on. And he loves his chickens. But like there's humor in it, there's heart in it, it's serious, it gets funny. It's a really fun book to work on, because when you say, well, what would it be like if a human being's brain was connected to a bunch of birds? What would that do? And that's Rook. Like, what would that experience, how would it change you? Because they were arrogant enough to think the helmets would just open their minds to the birds and control the birds. But the truth is the helmets open the minds for both ways. So you're influenced by your animals too, and in a good way and a bad way, but influenced by those animals. And when you think about that and think about the instincts of animals and why as human beings we've lost our instincts a a lot of our instincts are kind of gone. Drop us in the middle of the forest. I mean, if you guys watch that like Survivor show, whatever it is, like there's one where they drop them in like Canada somewhere and nothing. It's like they're naked, I think, even. But
Hotel Alone, I think.
oh yeah, Alone. Yeah, Alone. It's a good show. But it is like that's what we want to explore is what is our connection to nature and animals and how would that affect us? How we've lost our connection to nature. And the story of Rook is really reclaiming, or nature kind of reclaiming us as part of it, and us accepting that and bringing it back in. Like I talked to Jay when we were first talking about the story. It's like look around you and you could do it in this room. What else is alive besides people? And there's not even a tree. There's not a plant in here. And that's unless you carry one in the pocket. There's nothing in here except people. And we've kind of segregated ourselves from nature as if we're better than, and we're part of it.
I love that. And you guys are also, just in talking about, making sure that you're being intentional about who and what you do, but you guys are expanding the world of Rook a little bit with a new series coming out called Rook Wardens. I don't know why I did move.
Ooh.
Well, that's super. Here we go. There it is.
Yeah, we're doing a
Rook Wardens.
We're doing a series of because there's so many characters that we want to explore, and we don't have room for all of it in our main book. So we're doing these one shots that will spotlight wardens that we both know, like Direwolf, who faces Ka, who's the warden of pythons that she trained and turned against her, and we have other ones coming up, that we've got. We're introducing like the warden of raccoons, who's a really fun bandit. The warden of whales. They have like really interesting stories. Some of them and they all tie back into the main book, but those will be periodically coming out too.
Cool, love that. All right, Chris, let's get to you for a little bit. Of the Earth, you getting to work with modern master Charlie Adler is doing one of the creepiest books I've read in a while.
In our current story, it's always the ending of needs in your space, because the danger I find a lot of superhero comics do this. You skip over all the character stuff. You have them wrap it up in 2 panels, and there's no room for breathing. And the character stuff is what matters. The character stuff always takes longer than you think. It always needs more panels, more pages than you think. And having it breathe is really, really important, because otherwise it doesn't impact you. And so every time it's either extra pages, 30 pages, or it's more often than not extra issues. Remember when Brian Hitch and I were working on Redcoat, the first arc, the first 6 issues were the storyline and this Albert Einstein kind of epilogue we had was going to be like an epilogue in the book, and then it was like, no, that's a whole issue, and it needed a whole issue, and so it is like it feels like the endings always need just a little more.
I have to imagine for you, Geoff, someone who's done a lot of work prior stuff in the past and needing to stick to whatever, that the ability to be able to, you said, like make the Albert Einstein epilogue a full issue has got to be freeing, but also does that give you a sense of, I don't know, relief is maybe not the right word, but like with you getting to make that decision, does that scare you at all a little bit? Oh
No.
maybe, yeah, there.
At DC, when I would do these big events, and always like the last issue, like I remember Sinestro Corps, it was like the last issue has to be like 64 pages. And they were like, it's too long, you'll never get it done. I said, it's gotta be 64 pages, and I had enough like credit that they're like, oh, and they're like, well, the epilogue's gonna the comic book, this series I was not writing, the epilogue to the whole series is gonna ship a week before it. I said, that's your call, and they shipped it a week before, and people were like, what? But at the end of the day, nobody cared, because the end of Sinestro Corps was good, and Ivan Reese had the space to draw and the time to draw it right. Because I had worked on things where they forced us to get it done early, forced us to cut pages, and it hurt the story. So I refused to do it anymore. Obviously here we don't have to ask anyone. We just do it. It might take a delay because like Brian will say, hey, this issue should be 28 pages, and it takes longer than 20 pages, which our books are usually 22 or more. That's why DC and Marvel shove them to 20 pages so they could save money and time. But the stories need to be what the stories are. I have a lot of stories I could tell about things I made longer and they were bad. But it's because I did a couple that they forced me to do it a certain way, and they just weren't as good as they could have been.
I oftentimes will send Marvel.
To that relate all the way back to the Secret Wars, how did you plan out something so massive?
It's easy if you know why you're telling the story. Like everyone's like Jay and I know why we're telling Rook. We know why we're telling Rook. Like when we started off to do these books, you know, the hard thing with like work for hire stuff, and I love it. I love writing, Aquaman, everything. But every time you got a character, it's like why? Like a lot of times I think people are just like, well, we should publish a Flash book, and I'm like, that's just not a good enough reason to publish a story to me. And so I always ask myself, why am I gonna? When they said, do you want to take over Green Lantern? I was like, well, why would I? What am I gonna explore? And this was kind of post 9/11-ish, you know, 2004. It's a long time ago now. But I wanted to explore fear, and then that led to emotion and like processing emotion and being self-aware of our anger and our love and our hope and our you know, envy, everything. And so when I started to think about that, it built itself, saying, well, what if I introduce this? And then ultimately, we are anger, we are love, we are everything. And ultimately, what's the opposite of that? Well, that's nothing. So it just made sense. Like it just kind of built itself. You know why you're telling the story. I think, but these characters, like if you're gonna write a book about Moon Knight, why are you doing it other than Marvel wants to publish a Moon Knight book because there's a TV show? Like you've got to have a reason for the story. And if you know the reason for the story, then the story just in my head builds, like Jay and I, when we came up with Rook and why we want to tell it Rook, like the ending just kind of happened. Like we're like, well, this is the whole story, how long it is, 100 issues, whatever it is, we're gonna find out along the way, but we already know the last scene in Rook. If it's 20 years from now, we know that last scene. And I know the last issue of Redcoat, I know the last issue of Geiger and Hyde Street, like because I know why I'm telling these stories. So if you know the why, when you sit down to write something, if you're writing a Batman story for fun, why? Other than you love Batman, because that's not a good reason for a story.
Got time for one last question, and then we gotta.
Teen Titans. But one of the writing you did that interests me the most was for when we were writing for Green Lantern, because I was not a fan of Green Lantern. And your writing, especially when it came to Sinestro Coral War, that really got me involved into that world. So my question is, for when you're writing, you're so good at writing not only things that might be a little bit more obscure or maybe like B or C list characters, but you're also really good at writing for several characters at once. How, like when you're writing, are you thinking about the person who might not know about these characters, or are you trying to get like people who may not be fans of characters to like these characters? And also too, with the new Lantern series coming out, do they talk to you at all and get some inspiration from you for the show as well too?
Well, I know Damon and all those guys really well. They're great. I'm excited about the show. I think it's great. On the characters, growing up, I liked comics. It was not cool to like comics when there was no convention like this. You know, you could not dress up like Cyclops and not get heckled. But now it's celebrated, which is great. But I love these characters. If I loved Aquaman, and I remember when Ivan and I wanted to do Aquaman, and DC said, go do Batman. And we're like, we want to do Aquaman. Like, don't go do Batman. And they would ask, why do you want to do Aquaman? And then that would be like what the story's about. Well, because I see him as a human being of two cultures who doesn't feel like they belong in either. And that's an interesting story to explore. And he learns that he's actually the bridge. He's better than nothing. He's the bridge between cultures. And that was the story of Aquaman. And so once I had the story of why, I thought it would be a story that other people would resonate with. And so I would always just think again, why? Why do I want to tell the story? And if I want someone to like Captain Cold, well, like I think he's cool, but no one else liked him. Well, I'm going to write about him, and he's like this blue collar guy who lost his sister, who, you know, is just trying to live hand to mouth, and he had to get this weird cold gun because some guy with super speed showed up in the city, pulls jobs up. Like that's the only reason. He's just trying to survive and have a beer at the end of the day. And to me, a lot of people can relate to just trying to survive to have a beer at the end of the day. And he doesn't want to rule the world or kill people. He doesn't care about that. He's just trying to live his life. So just finding that relatable part of, and I just would see the characters very quickly. Like if someone gave me, I don't care who it is, Metamorpho, and just give me I don't care. And I would say, give me the worst characters. Like I don't want Batman because there's a million great Batman stories. He does not need my help. Joker, even though it's fun to work on Batman through Jokers, like I didn't ever write Batman monthly because he doesn't need my help. He's got a million great Batman books. I like the characters that like, no one wants to do Aquaman. I'll take it. No one, like when I did Teen Titans, nobody wanted to do Teen Titans. I'm like, give me Teen Titans, give me JSA, give me Hawkman, give me Booster Gold, give me Green Lantern, give me this stuff that nobody wants to do, because that's the most exciting stuff. Because I think you can explore being a human being a lot easier in that than going, well, this character is so defined. You've got to kind of stay in a single lane of who you're just servicing what's already existed, instead of exploring something as a writer or as a human being you want to explore.
And then I'd also add like all of that is leading to what you guys have done with your Ghost Machine characters, which are completely new characters.